Question number 5 is where's the linebacker depth at? Obviously, the top 3 are cemented. Aiden Fisher, Roe Hardy, who's just, we continue to say, just the best football player you've ever seen, and Isaiah Bones-Jones. Obviously, those are your top 3. Utzinger and Caden Turner are there, and they also have Quentin Clark, who's a sophomore. They also have Paul Nelson and Jamari Farmer hit the portal, so they don't. Paul Nelson's kind of the only guy in that room. They are a little light. They brought a Rutgers, or tried to bring the Rutgers transfer, who ended up at Miami on campus. That didn't really work out. So we'll see where they end up going there. Is the linebacker room set? I would lean towards no. My guess is they're going to try and bring in a depth piece there. Question 6. How early will we see the freshmen? It really is an interesting question, because last year you have Cignetti going to the season being like, we don't play freshmen. It's not happening. You look at the way they treated D'Angelo Pons at JMU, and he didn't really play until the 3rd game or 4th game of the season. Obviously, he was a freshman All-America there. Last year, I believe we saw Mario Landino on the 2nd series of the year. Roe Hardy played pretty much all year. Charlie Becker was on special teams. Like, the freshmen were playing significant minutes. That class was really significant minutes. They were playing like a significant amount of time. They weren't. Well, Roe Hardy was in the starting role, but this freshman class, and there was a lot of talented guys in the 24 class. The 25 class is more talented than the 24 class. Like, a guy like Byron Baldwin Jr. is going to find his way onto the field. A guy like Jalen Hollywood Bell even might find his way onto the field. Like, a guy like Seonta Stewart might find his way onto the field. We've talked about Davion Chandler and Miles Kendrick and LeBron Bond. Like, there's a lot of really, really talented freshmen in the room, and admittedly at positions of need. And so if these guys are doing the right things over and over again, especially the guys who are on campus in the spring, yeah, they're going to play early and often. Like, there is no discriminating on this Curt Cignetti team. Like, as much as he can say he doesn't like to play freshmen, like, the best players play. And so, again, if the guys are doing the right things, if they're maturing the right way, if their heads in the playbook and they're working, these guys are going to get on the field. Like, the best football players play. Question number 7. What does the running back rotation look like? I truly believe it's going to be a 3 deep. I think when people talk or ask about the running backs, they kind of forget, because of the way we used Lawton and Ellison last year, that there are 3 guys in the room. Kalen Black obviously was dealing with injuries last year, so he didn't really get used towards the back end of the season. But they have 3 talented backs in this room, whether it's Roman Hemby, Lee Beebe Jr., or Kalen Black. Like, these dudes are all can be effective guys, and they're going to try and keep all of them fresh. And I don't think it's a stretch to say that all 3 of those guys are going to play. And like I said before, with Beebe potentially being used in the slot, like, I wouldn't be surprised to see 2 or more of those guys on the field at the same time. Like, it's a really exciting room. Obviously, John Miller's an excellent coach, and they're going to keep those guys fresh. But I think people are using last year to look at, okay, cool, they have 3 guys, but it's really going to be 2. No, I think they actually really would like to use 3, and they're going to try and use 3. Question number 8, how quickly does the secondary gel? I asked this only because last year it took until like the 4th or 5th game of the season before they moved Amari Farrell and put Terry Jones in. Obviously, the Indiana defense played really well last year. A lot of it starts with the defensive line, and obviously D'Angelo Pons put him on the field, set and forget type of player. Amari Farrell the same way. They do have some new pieces in the secondary. We do believe that they upgraded talent and they did get better. How quickly do they take to gel? We're hoping it's more like it's by the 4th game, because they play Illinois, but they have a lot of talent, and while that's a good thing, it also like makes it a little hard to figure out who should be on the field. So both in a good way. I mean, that is a good thing, but it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. And then question 8.5 being, did Indiana solve its problem over the middle? Remembering specifically the Ohio State games and the Notre Dame games where they got killed, and obviously Emeka Egbuka, 1st-round NFL draft pick, extremely talented. It's like pick your poison with that Ohio State team. But I think it's Jordan Faison or Julian Faison from Notre Dame killed them in the college football playoff game. They were having so much trouble covering the slot. Obviously, they went and got Devon Boykin. You're bringing in a guy like Byron Baldwin Jr. You have Amari Farrell. You brought in Lewis Moore, Jamari Sharp, and Gandy and Knight. And like, you went and added a whole bunch to the secondary. So let's see if that's able to translate into stopping a lot of these talented teams that are going to want to spread you out. Like, obviously, there's something Jamie Jordan talked about, but against Iowa, you're probably not going to put 5 or 6 defensive backs on the field. But against a team that's going to want to spread you out, Like that needs going to be tested. So very interested to see if that's something that they went out and addressed. SoCal loves the pod. I noticed that Indiana was ranked outside of the top 25 in this breakdown. Roster depth, coaching concerns, schedule strength, something else. Curious to hear your take. I just think people just aren't paying attention, to be honest. I think if you I'm not really worried about the schedule. Coaching concerns are just you haven't been paying attention to Kurt Signetti and the way this staff operates. Like again, the schedule, I've gone to bat for Indiana's schedule. Obviously when you play in the Big Ten and you play a grueling schedule like that, it really shouldn't matter what your non-con is because you're going to be tested either way. Again, and it's something I tweeted this week, but it's hard to believe that the 2025 Indiana Hoosiers get to run back we have a chip on our shoulder because nobody believes in us, like feeling that they had in 2024. Like a team that like went to the college football playoff and brought its whole coaching staff back and upgraded at quarterback and upgraded at all these important positions and returned 3 All-Americans on defense should be getting respected, not said that was a fluke and there's no way they can do it again. So to me, it's just crazy. It's you're not paying attention and you're looking at stars, and that's the biggest problem. It's like, yeah, Brad's been talking about this like micro sense, macro sense when it comes to recruiting, and I do agree with him. Like in a macro sense, you do want the best players, but when it comes down to it, like production over potential, give me the guy who's going to go out in the field and do it versus the guy that the sites say are going to. Question number 9: will the starters play special? Oh, hold on. When do you expect the next wave of commitments? That's a great question. That's actually something I was mulling over today because we are kind of in that dead period. I would say as we start like ramping up towards like fall camp, so that'd be like middle towards end of July, I would think football activities really start up again. I don't think they're taking a break, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple commits this week, next week, whatever. Sig had mentioned also on that um, interview with Greg McElroy that there was a couple guys who had committed already that hadn't announced yet, and I'm not sure if he was talking about guys that had already announced or guys that have yet to announce. So you really just never know with this team. They continue to surprise me, and like with the Jay Timmons commitment, like I was falling asleep on a Monday night, all of a sudden we have a son of an NFL player like on the roster. So it's you really never know with this team. But I would be surprised if like actually hold that because I'm gonna get there. Question number 9: will starters play special teams? I think the answer is yes. And I think this might be the last year that happens. And I believe it's just because of the roster depth. Like special teams, obviously super important. Indiana's got a great special teams coach, Grant Kane. But you saw the one game where Indiana wasn't up to par in special teams, it really hurt them. That was Ohio State. So I think that given that Indiana doesn't plan to punt much, that you are going to see maybe a guy like Aiden Fisher, probably maybe not Pons, but maybe Pons. Like he was a gunner last year. So I think we are at least early in the season or against really good teams. You're going to see the starters play special teams. I think that's just how SIG does it. But I think obviously you want to get to a point with your roster where like maybe your best players aren't playing special teams at the same time. Like that's the best way to get a roster spot at the NFL. So Brad's been talking about it for a couple weeks, how necessary it is to have your like with Charlie Becker, for example, like he was playing gunner last year, probably going to play gunner this year, like getting that experience, having that trust from the coaching staff, super, super important. So I do think the starters will end up playing special teams. Question number 10: do I believe attendance is going to be an issue this year? Emphatically, no. I mean, somebody who tried to get season tickets or looked into season tickets maybe can, like, I haven't seen all the data on that, so that maybe somebody can help me out. But I'd be hard pressed to imagine it's going to be easy to get a ticket to watch this team play, especially if they do what I think they're going to do to Illinois, which is win it emphatically. Question number 11. What week will major networks realize last year wasn't a fluke and College Game Day and Big Noon Kickoff start fighting over who gets to come to Bloomington? I think I hope it happens after the Illinois game. I have my doubts. I think maybe after the bye week, like if you beat Illinois, beat Iowa on the road, bye week, I think after that, if you're sitting there at 5-0, I think that's what the record would be. then you have all these networks going like, oh my God, like what happened last year just wasn't a fluke. Like this is the real deal. I'd like it to happen before that. I think they should be salivating and fighting over Indiana versus Illinois in week 4. Like it's going to be a massive Big Ten matchup, but I can see it kind of being overshadowed just because of the brands, which again is a mistake given the current way college athletics is shifting so rapidly. And you have two universities that are clearly putting their foot down and deciding they're going to do something about their football futures. I'd be diving all over that game if I was a network. I think it probably happens after that. But you saw last year, like I believe it was week 8 or 9 was when game day was there. And I think the week before, like Big Noon and Barstool were there. So it took a little bit longer last year, but I don't think it takes quite as long this year.